As we know, it's hard to make an approach. And it can be especially hard to make an approach as a woman because that's something that women generally aren't used to doing. However, maybe you're not happy with the options that you have in terms of the guys that are available to you. You want to have a bit more agency in what you can pursue. But here's the thing, it's completely fine if you don't want to make any approaches and you want to wait for them to come to you. But then you cannot complain about the lack of options that you have. Plus, you don't want to miss the opportunity if you see that one guy in 100 just because you don't want to make the first move. And I'm now going to give you the power and agency for you to capitalize on that opportunity. I'm going to go through 4 ways you can subtly approach a guy that has low risk for embarrassment but has high potential for reward if he's the right guy. Before we get into that, I am having one-to-one sessions, so if you want to level up your love life today, just click that link below. The first subtle way to approach a guy is what I like to call the breadcrumbs. Now this approach is actually making the guy approach you. But you do that by communicating to him that you want him to approach you. And how do you do that? By sending choosing signals. What are choosing signals? Choosing signals are signs that you send to a guy that you are inviting him to come and talk to you. Back in the day, it was called dropping the handkerchief. A woman would be sitting at a bar or at a coffee shop with, let's say, some of her girlfriends, and a guy that she likes the look of will walk into the room. So what she does is, as he walks past, she drops the handkerchief. Now, of course, because he's a gentleman, he picks it up and gives it back to her, and then their love story would begin. Now, in his head, he's like, wow, like, I picked up the handkerchief for this woman and I saw her, and that's when I knew I chose her. He's not the one who had the power, she did. She chose him. He just followed the breadcrumbs. So what does that look like as an equivalent in today's world? So let's take the bar scenario. You're sitting at a bar with your girlfriends and you see a guy that you like the look of. The first thing you need to do is get eye contact with him. And if it's difficult because of where you're both positioned in the room to get that eye contact, then you need to put yourself in his peripheral vision. You know, where he can notice you. And of course he will notice you because guys can't help their eyes be drawn to a woman that is literally put in front of him. So when he does notice you, make that eye contact and hold it for a good few seconds. And when you're holding that eye contact for a few seconds, just give him a little smile. Yes, you have to smile at him. That's part of you signaling to him that you like what you see. Because here's the thing, as an attractive woman, 80% of the guys in that bar want to come up and approach you and talk to you, but 79% of them don't feel they have the permission to. So you doing this is you giving him the permission to come and say hi to you. And the mistake that a lot of women make is that they'll be trying to make all the eye contact with him, but then the guy never approaches her and she's like, what? Why didn't he approach me? Well, sis, that's because you had resting bitch face the entire time. So instead of looking at her being like, oh wow, she's an attractive and she's giving me a smile, maybe I should go and say hi, he's looking at her going, oh, this girl looks like she's judging me. Does she have an issue with me? Do I know her? Did I do something to her maybe? So give him a welcoming smile. So by now, at this point, you've made some eye contact with him, you've given him a smile, he's probably giving you a smile back. And of course, the likelihood is you're out with your girlfriends or there's a group of you, right? You're not actually there on your own. If you are, no shame to you, but you're probably not. So if you are with your girlfriends and there's a group of you, 98% of men are not approaching you because to him, you just look like a pack of wolves. And not only that, but it actually does happen where a girl will like a guy. That guy does come and approach her and her group, but then because one of her friends like publicly disapproves of him, she then rejects him even though she may have actually liked him herself. I don't know why that's a thing. Can you explain to me why that's a thing, ladies? I need to know. Anyway, what that means is that this is the crucial step, and it's the most crucial step that a lot of women miss. Once you've done these things by sending him these signals and you've kind of started to establish a little bit of a rapport from a distance, you have to separate yourself from the group. And it could be something as simple as like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the other side of the bar to get a drink where I'm by myself. And you give him the opportunity. Because it's all good sending all these signals to him and maybe you've primed him to approach you, but that counts for nothing if you don't provide the opportunity for him to do so. And you being away from your group, you separating themselves so you're by yourself, that's you giving him the opportunity. Now here's the thing, if he's a man with his wherewithal, if he has a level of emotional intelligence, he's got a certain level of confidence, and you know, he's not afraid to go after what he wants within reason, which I assume is the kind of guy that you want, then he's gonna take that chance. The next way to subtly approach a guy is something I call, oh, I've seen you before. This is the classic confusing them for someone else, confusing them. And the reason this is such a fun way to open up a conversation is because you can literally make up whatever it is who you're confusing them for and use that to your advantage. You could confuse them for this really attractive actor from a very popular TV show, or that you saw them getting interviewed on the news and you really liked what they had to say. Or it could be something as it was a friend of a friend and you met them at a party. And one, guys never expect to get approached, let alone this kind of approach. And two, because you're coming from a place of knowing him, at least from his perspective, he'll do his utmost best to accommodate for what you're saying, especially if he finds you attractive, even though what you're saying is completely made up. The whole point of this way of subtly approaching someone is just getting the conversation flowing. Now, it will probably get to the point in the conversation where he's like, I'm really sorry, I just don't remember meeting you. Or something along those lines. In which case you can say something like, oh, was I not cute enough to remember? And watch him get embarrassed or maybe shy or even a bit tongue-tied. He'll probably try to laugh it off. He'll definitely cover it up with a laugh. This is just a light way of flirting without being too forward. And by this point, you've broken the ice, the conversation is flowing, and he's definitely gonna find it attractive how you can tease him a little bit, even though you've just met him. And this next one, which is an easy one to do, but it's specific for a bar situation, is the next time you see a guy you like go to the bar to make an order, you pull up next to him in the bar and you open with, what drink do you recommend? A lot of people think this is hard because they think they have to go in with the frame of, I'm hitting on this person. But when you can give a casual opener that's based on the environment that you're in, it just feels and comes across as way more natural. This is an easy way to start a conversation, and because you're ordering drinks at the bar, there's a legitimate reason to stay in that space and continue talking, because you're just waiting for your drinks. But it's also nice because there's a natural end to the conversation once you've both been served your drinks. Worst case scenario, you have a conversation, he gets his drinks and he goes back to his table and nothing ever follows up. And if you feel you want to kind of save face and just cover a little bit of embarrassment, you can always cover it with, oh, I was just asking him what drink would he recommend. No harm, no foul. Or best case scenario, you have a great conversation and he even ends up paying for your drink. In which case, things have already kicked off in the right direction. This is a low risk, high reward kind of approach, but it is specific for that kind of situation. Now, this next way to subtly approach a guy, and this is for a guy who's already in your circles, who you may already know, and I call this one watering the seed, and it's to get your friends to ask about you. They can become your ambassadors to him, and just help put some feelers out there. Now, this may seem like a very schoolgirl thing to do, one of your friends going up. Now, this may seem like a very schoolgirl thing to do, one of your friends going to a guy being like, hey, my friend likes you. But it's more about them doing reconnaissance and planting that seed in his head. Now, they don't have to do anything overtly, but it could be something as simple as maybe she's standing next to him and you walk into the room and she looks at him, just go, oh, look, Claire's looking good today, right? Or maybe you're all at lunch and one of your friends is sitting next to him and she asks him, so what is it that a guy actually looks for in a gal? Or another great one is them telling him about you in a guy situation and they're saying, oh, she was doing the most for this guy, but he completely took her for granted. Especially if you can say things like, oh, she helped him look after his dog, she helped him out with his work, she was a place of peace for him. Highlighting qualities that guys value is gonna help him paint a picture of you in his head. And you've not even raised a finger. So if you have a friend or two that can subtly bring his attention towards you, as well as telling things about you that he would appreciate, that really puts you on his radar if you weren't on his radar already. And the next time you speak to him, he'll have a natural level of curiosity about you. And if he has a level of curiosity about you, he's gonna want to talk to you more. And if he wants to talk to you more, that then leads to him asking to talk to you outside of the circles that you're in. See what I mean? So what do you think? Are you gonna use any of these 4 ways to subtly approach a guy? Have you used one of them? And if you have, how'd it turn out? If you're looking for a guy who sparks up your love life, then make sure you subscribe to this wonderful tribe. And as always, keep it slick.